It's Kelvin here from Shedding Sheep New Zealand. Now I'm on the way to Aria to drop off some sheep, and my ewe mating is done for the year, and I'm working on Hogget mating. And I've come down to Kaahu Genetics at Whakamaru. It's kind of on my way. It adds about 20 minutes to my trip coming this way, but it's a really nice drive. And I'm going to try and find out a little bit more about Hogget mating and how to maximize my hoggets and do it better. And I'm pretty proud of my hoggets this year. They're better than my previous year's hoggets. Because I'm actually using some Kaahu Genetics. The ram was that side my ewe hoggets is a Kaahu ram. But I'm a lot happier with my hoggets this year. And then I get down here and they're nowhere near as big as these ones. So I'm not going to be upset about that, but I'm going to learn more about growing ewe hoggets and mating ewe hoggets and getting the most out of my ewe hoggets. This is a flying trip for me. I could talk about lots of things here, but I just want to really focus on maximizing my ewe hoggets and my ewe hogget mating, because they are the future of my flock, and because they are bred on my property, that's where I'm going to get the gains out of my sheep, by using good rams and continually improving rams, and that will improve my ewes, and the upward flow and the quality of my flock will continue. So Murray isn't, wait, we're going to get Murray. Murray is not in his buying rams clothes, he's in his work clothes, because he in fact is actually a farmer. And Murray, it's not you that is breeding these sheep alone, is it? You've also got your son Wayne helping?
Yes, no, Wayne and I are a team, and we work together breeding these shedding sheep. And
you've done Drysdales, because my mum used to buy Drysdales off you about, I don't know, 40 or 50 years ago. I was only a little fella when we were doing Drysdales, maybe 40 years ago?
Yep.
40, yep. And then you've done Coopworths,
yep.
And now you've gone into shedding, so much so that there was a crossover. You had Coopworths and you had the shedding sheep as well at the same time for a little bit, didn't you?
We did. I wanted to see how the shedding sheep would go, and once I had both for a year, I looked at production and the work involved, and to me it was a no-brainer. The only way forward for me was to focus totally on shedding sheep, and that's where we're at now. We sold our stud Coopworth sheep.
It's a big move.
It was, but I'm very happy.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look at these little hoggets. Little, way bigger than mine, but still little hoggets. They're nice. They're lovely sheep. They're consistent in their line now, aren't they? They've really come up a lot more consistent. Hey girls, just settle down.
Yes, well, in here, 2/3 of these are out of mixed age ewes and 1/3 are out of hoggets, so they're a little bit smaller.
There's a hogget one at the back there.
Yes.
So my best ones are probably still just a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
But my little ones would still be a bit smaller than that.
Yes.
You've got a lot more across the back end. You know, when we're looking at this one that's marked up, this green one here, you know, she's a lot wider across the rump. She's carrying really good condition. She's got that spread in the back legs. Really lovely. Right, big boy, I want to look at you. Just calm down. Oh yeah, there we go. So he's now a two-tooth, is he?
Yes. Yes, he's an easycare ram.
Scottish Genetics, easycare ram, and he actually blends very well with your sheep, doesn't he? Like that rump conformation is very similar to yours.
He's very well muscled. We've got in the next group of ewe hoggets we will look at, we've got some of his daughters in there.
Oh, have you?
So we will.
So we can actually look at his offspring.
Yes. Well, I actually purchased 2 easycare rams. So.
Oh, did you?
And we've got the progeny just back and behind us in another pen, so we'll have a look at those shortly.
The concept of the Kaahu white, which is, I call it a trade name. I don't call it a breed, sorry. I call it a trade name. But it allows you to blend whatever you think is going to be the best into that mixes, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean the Kaahu white is about having a brand, and it's using my skills and Wayne's skills to create what we believe is the best shedding sheep that we can, and that's all to do with lamb survival. We'd like them to have a haired coat. We want them to be very productive, mainly have twins, grow fast, and have good feet, and we want the meat to taste really, really good, and high yielding carcasses.
Yeah, I talked over the weekend to a few other guys about eating experience, but the problem is, I don't think we have a set standard of eating experience yet. Whilst one person might want high intramuscular fat, someone else might want something different. And so I think actually it's going to be, in the times to come, is possibly marketing or selecting animals to suit markets and breeding to suit those markets. And I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all for a sheep.
No, it'll take time to develop, but you know there are trials being done now for eating quality. So,
Yeah, but your taste buds are different to mine.
Yep.
You know, that's the reality of it, isn't it?
Yep.
And so it's going to be interesting to see where we go there. But some of your clients are certainly getting some very good results with those markets that want that intramuscular fat.
Definitely.
I've seen the posts on Facebook. I've been watching.
Yeah.
Look at that thumper there.
Yep.
Isn't she fantastic?
Yep.
She's a beautiful sheep.
Yep.
So what weights were you saying that these guys had?
The middle of March we weighed the Hoggets, and the ewe Hoggets out of the older ewes averaged 53.5. The ones out of the Hoggets themselves were 47.
Okay, so how do I grow bigger Hoggets?
Well, it is through selection and using superior rams for growth, and then I've got an advantage in that I can look at their SIL records. So these animals have been kept on their growth, and I keep the ewe lambs, and they get weighed several times, and I look at animals and make sure they are gaining weight. So from weaning to the first 6 month weighing, I'd expect them to put on 20 kgs. Some will put on more. And
so from weaning to 6 months, so in those 3 months,
yep,
you're expecting 20 kilos of gain.
Yep. And if the animals that can't show extreme growth rate will be culled.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll proceed. So they'll get weighed again before winter. And the animals that I can see that are not progressing quickly enough, I'm not after huge sheep, but I want animals that grow quickly and then get to their adult weight and perform there, but they must grow quickly.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That meat isn't just meat. It's we've got to do the growth. So yeah. What are you aiming at for weaning weights? Because that's something that I'm trying to set some goals for my weaning weights. So
well, our lambs are normally weaned about the 10th of December. They're
yes.
Out of the ewes. We start having about the middle of August, and they normally average about 38 kilos, and that is normally around about about 175% weaned.
Yeah, so I'm looking to move my weaning weights. I'm going to go for 35 to start with, 35 and 28s. 28 for the Hoggets.
Yep.
I'm going to wean my Hoggets and my the lambs out of each of those lots about the middle of December.
Yep.
And I'm going to wean both of them at the same time to give those Hoggets, those two-tooths, the most growth time that I can.
Yep.
And the best chance of getting back in lamb.
Yep.
Because I'm certainly lacking in that second cycle, getting them back in or getting them in lamb that second time. I'm missing out there. Yep. Because I'm doing too hard on my ewe Hoggets. I will run all mine together, my ewes and my hoggets end up finishing lambs together because I've got such a small amount of sheep.
Yep.
So I can't prioritise those hoggets. So the way I'm going to do it is by weaning their lambs earlier.
Right. 11 days, and so far all the groups, about 2/3 of them have been marked.
It's good going, isn't it? So you use your ram across your ewes,
yes,
and then you bring them back into your hoggets.
Yep.
They have to do 2 runs, so that's working those rams pretty hard too, isn't it? And
Yep.
he's in good order.
My rams that I think are the best will get 100 ewes, and then they'll get about another 100 hoggets.
Right. Even that hairy chest blends well with some of yours, because some of your rams do have that hairy chest.
He does.
But often they don't express it so much coming through in the lambs, and some of your rams have that hairy chest.
Yes.
He's not a huge tall ram, is he?
No, he's not. No, I think the easycare sheep are not excessively big, which I think is good, and you know, that's something that we really want. We want sheep that grow very fast and give a good big heavy carcass early, but we don't want a huge adult size. We want early maturing sheep. We expect the sheep to get a lamb quickly, including the hoggets, and if they don't, they won't be kept.
Yeah, so I've decided in my flock, you know, and I think I've told you, I want to get rid of those late born lambs.
Yes.
Because that's where they cost me money.
Yeah.
You know, and there's the parasite issue later on. I've always struggled with them, so my idea is either not to have them born or to sell them early. Yeah. And that's a big goal that I've got with my sheep. So my ram's gone out. I think I probably went a bit early this year because I did put them out in the middle of February. So I'm going to have lambs in July, which I think I'm probably going to lighten that up a little bit, but shorten the window.
Yep.
Get that window shorter. And then my ewe lambs, I've had a cut off, and I've taken the ram away so I don't get those late ones. So next year I'm going to look to not having them carry over. Anything that doesn't get a lamb will be sold. Yep. The Kaahu white, because it goes back to the Australian white, there is a tendency for them to sexually mature a lot earlier, isn't it?
Definitely, and that's all part of what I wanted to create. When I started breeding Strack Wiltshires, I was disillusioned when I compared them initially with the Coopworth. I felt that they were very slow maturing comparatively, and the Hogget mating I found was quite dismal in comparison. We couldn't get 100% out of our Wiltshires.
So your Hoggets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Coopworth we're doing about 125.
Yeah.
But these Kaahu whites are higher again, and I think it is the Australian white that's doing it, and that was my aim, to get something that will mature more quickly. We want to have sheep that are more profitable. We want, you know, really good lamb survival, and we want early maturity.
So there's 100 in this mob, and this is with that double Mymax thing. Yeah. Now look at that. Tell me about this one here. Tell me about where is she's hiding. She's got a dark face. There she is. I'll grab her, eh? I'll see if I can. That one there. Look at her.
Yeah.
Look at her. You've got no problem when they throw a bit of a dark face?
No, I haven't. I mean, these are. Half of these are by that easycare ram.
Yes.
So, you know, you're going to get gene variation, and you will get a bit of rust, a bit of brown socks sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that
that's easycare, eh, coming through there.
You know, what we want really is just a very, very good functional sheep. And if you can't handle a little bit of rust, a little bit of brown, well, you can colour them out. At this stage, we will cull the very worst out, but if it's only moderate, we don't see it as a major problem.
If you're not shearing it, I don't see a problem, and if they're chunky,
yep.
It's not that big a deal. But I reckon I'd love to know some of the numbers, because I reckon that's second one in there.
Yes.
She's got that back end like that ram.
Yes.
You know, and then there's that other one through there. So seeing that easycare genetics on a shedding basis,
Yeah.
you know, that Scottish genetics, I take it that you're reasonably happy with the results that you've got of that ram, and this. You only muscle scan the ram lambs, don't you? You don't muscle scan your ewe lambs.
Correct.
How is the muscle scanning going on the offspring of that Scottish ram?
Well, we obviously muscle scanned all the ram lambs by length and size, and they perform very well. They're not as good as my best Kaahu whites, and they can't match the very best of my Kaahu whites for growth, but they're right up there, and they're going to offer very good gene variation, and they are muscular, and at this stage I'm extremely happy with them.
So they've blended in well, even with your Kaahu white.
Extremely well.
They'll blend in well with a Wiltshire flock. They'll blend in well with. We only pretty much have Wiltshires or your sheep, or you've got things like Grant with his experiments.
Yes.
Which we don't know a lot about what Grant's hiding in the background there, but he's tried a lot of different stuff as well. Of course, the 666 that's in here, he must be over the back there. Yeah, there he is. I can see him. He's blending in very well at the back there with the ewe lamb, but you can see him. He's a bit taller. Yeah. So he's double my max.
Yes.
He's done the ewe lambs. Now, these ewe lambs have got the potential to produce a stud ram, don't they? Because these are technically your best genetics.
Yep.
And that big boy's actually half ex-Lana, isn't he?
Yep.
So again, we've got some UK genetics. There he goes, look at him doing his job. So he's a mammoth ram by comparison to that easycare, like height-wise.
Yes.
They're the same age. And so if any of these ewe lambs produce very, very high growth ram lambs, they will be kept as stud, or have the potential to be kept as a stud ram. Do you feel a bit disillusioned at times when you breed a beautiful ram out of a Hogget? You know he's going to be smaller, you know you're going to get less for him, but his numbers are exquisite.
It's just something we do get somewhat disappointed, but it's a matter of just getting buyers used to seeing rams up for sale out of Hoggets and realising that they will be smaller, they're younger, but they are just as good as the rams out of the older ewes. In a lot of cases they'll be a lot superior, so buyers can come to the sale, or not necessarily just my sale, but if they can get really good young rams out of Hoggets with the figures, even though the ram may not look as good, in actual fact they will be very, very good. If the figures say they're good, then I would believe the figures.
Yeah, I look at quite a lot of auction catalogues. It's probably a bit of an obsessive hobby that I've got, and I look at some of the stats on the Hogget produced ram lambs.
Yes.
Or ram, they're to that stage, and they always stack up really good on the numbers.
Yep.
They really do, and for someone like me who's on a limited budget,
yep,
they're extremely good buying.
Well, they are, and you know, I mean, it's up to the buyers, but you know, certainly when I'm selecting a keeper ram or a stud ram, you know, I want longevity. So if I would look at the bloodlines of the mother and how they're performed, but you know, my thoughts are that rams out of these new Hoggets shouldn't be discounted. They're just as good, if not better, than the bigger rams out of the ewes. Yeah.
What's the ram across the paddock?
He is Wiltshire with the Myomax gene, so
he's a Wiltshire with Myomax.
Yes.
So just a single
yes,
single Myomax.
Yes.
He's still pretty chunky, eh?
Oh, he's a very, very good ram. He's very typey and nice and quiet. So he's out with some new Hoggets as well.
He's just getting a few. He's nice. Would you buy him?
He's Mount Cass.
Oh, that's the Cass ram.
Yes.
So has he got some ex-Lana in him as well?
No, he hasn't. He's a straight Wiltshire.
He's a full Wiltshire.
Yeah, he was the first ram up, and I really liked him.
Settle down, settle down.
I liked his records. I liked his calmness and his feet. Yeah, he's a nicely put together ram. He's got a good backhand. He's very good at shedding.
He's nice.
And his mother's got a lot of fertility, so
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. You know, to me, he was of the Wiltshire rams that day that was sold at auction. He was my pick.
Yep.
So I decided not to miss out, and it just made him part of my team, because until you try a ram, you don't know how good they're going to be.
How many in your team? How many in the ram team?
We normally have about 6 or 8.
Okay, that's not a huge number.
No.
But you're working pretty hard. You know, you give them a lot of ewes, you're getting your money it's worth out of them.
Well, you are, but you've always got to have rams on standby in case you get a ram that gets a foot abscess or something like that. So,
Injured. I'm always worried about that because
Yeah.
I had a ram that I lost. Well, he got an injured testicle, and I know now. Like I had him tested for brucellosis straight away. It was an injury. He produced lambs.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of lambs born dead.
Yes.
So I'm putting it down to either ram or I could have had a dose of toxo. But when I checked for toxo, none was present.
Yeah.
So I've always got a standby ram now.
Yeah.
But if something does go wrong with my good one, if something injured, he produces good enough lambs for what I need to do, because lambs are better than no lambs.
Yeah, I mean, I would always recommend farmers buy enough rams to do what they need to do, because things can go wrong. You can have losses, and we make sure here that we always have backup rams, and they will go out and get some ewes. So we could amalgamate groups and make larger groups, but you know, we make sure we have plenty of rams on standby.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of stretching your rams with massive ratios, ewe to ram ratios. I'm not a fan actually.
No.
And the more I look at it, if you can spread your budget a little bit over a couple of extra rams,
Yep.
then it's good going. Or you know, buy a couple of those Hogget rams
Yep.
at the end of the sale
Yeah.
as extras,
Yep.
because it just diversifies the genes too. It's a really good idea.
Well, it definitely is. I mean, those Hogget rams invariably are cheaper, but they'll do just as good a job, and it's insurance. If something goes wrong, they're there.
Yeah.
And you won't be disappointed.
That's right. So, yeah, he's definitely, like, I didn't think he would grow a lot more, but he's growing. Because he's already done 100 ewes.
Yeah.
And then he's in this mob and he's marked a fair number of these. There's plenty of these ewe lambs that have been marked up.
Yeah, about 2/3 of them have. Some cases more. Certainly, and one other group was also half Exlana. In a week, he had 3/4 of them marked. He got one day I had thought I might change him because he got a bit of a sore foot.
Yep.
And he marked 10 that day before.
Yeah, well, so I'm worried with my ewe lambs. I got 4 ewe lambs that went to that were accessible to my big ram, my Kaahu white ram.
Yeah.
But they went back to the little rams. I can see now that I do need to spend some more time growing those ewe lambs, getting them weighed and getting some size on them, because these girls are going to that big ram no problem. Whereas I would be worried with some of my ones to go to my big ram. You know, he was a 4-tooth now.
Yeah.
But he wasn't huge. And your ram has maintained some really pretty good condition, considering he's done mating of ewes. Where my ram, I've still got to work on having rams that keep that condition. Look at that back end when he moves. You can just about see the muscle coming through him. So he was half Wiltshire, half Exlana.
Yeah. So
So this is again more UK genetics, and he's going to blend quite nicely into these ewe lambs, isn't he?
I think he will. I mean, he was selected. I purchased him down at the Gore sale in January from Grant Keen, and he was selected because he had extremely high growth and extremely high meat yield, and those are the things that we want. And he's got really nice feet, good black feet. He's quiet, he's a good shedder, and the mother's got good longevity. He's got, on the dam side, it goes back to one of the best bloodlines that Grant's ever had for grossing meat. It's on the dam side that I'm most interested in. So I'm expecting pretty good things. He's an impressive ram, and he does keep his condition extremely well, considering that he has shared a lot of ewes.
Yep, and he's still, you know, very active around these ewe lambs. But look how calm he is. He's lovely.
No, he is. He's a yeah. I think he's a wonderful ram. So these are all by the two easycare rams that I talked to.
Oh, you bought two easycares? Yes. Right, so these are all first generation easycare here in New Zealand.
Yep.
And then they get some more UK genetics across them with this fella,
Yep.
with some ex-Lana Wiltshire in there from Grant. Yep. I want to get around to see his back end. Calm down, little girls. Doesn't help when there's someone new in the mix, eh?
No, I mean, these sheep know me.
Yes.
And people say that sheep are not very intelligent. They know people straight away, and they're aware there's something else going on. But he's a very hard-working ram. He doesn't want to miss anything.
Yeah. So my follow-up ram, my Wiltshire ram, is like that. He's just always working. He's checking them through the fence this morning. He wasn't with them last night, so he was checking them through the fence.
Yeah.
And if you sit out with him, you watch him do the whole paddock. And it's good, you know, he goes from the back of the paddock to the front of the paddock, checks every single ewe, and he does the same thing in the evening as well.
Yeah. So this guy will end up serving Mr. Hogget's 200 ewes. I would say these ones probably haven't had drink for at least 2 months, could be 2.5.
Oh yeah, see, I just had to do mine. So I've got some ewe lambs that just got their second drench,
Yeah.
but the rest got their third drench. So these are doing well for not having a drench for 2 months.
No.
It's given me some inspiration to grow some better ewe hoggets. That's where I know I need to focus. And I know too, also looking at these, like your concept, your Kaahu white concept, and these have got less of the Australian genetics and now got some UK genetics, and that Scottish, the easycare genetics from those, and then they're getting that ex-Lana, but they still fit the description of what you're trying to breed.
Yeah, definitely.
That you know, that chunky back end. No, she's a little bit more dumpy.
Yep.
I've got too much height in some of my sheep.
Yep.
I got some giraffe ewe hoggets. I need to put more body on them. There's a lot of inconsistency with my lines, whereas right here we've got a lot more consistency across the board. And yeah, that's like, even say this little one right at the front here, right? She's very much looking like that stocky little easycare ram. Yep. With the big back end.
Yep.
And then of course we'll see what the production does on that. You know, it's dollars in the bank actually. You know, is she going to have a nice big single? Is she going to have twins? And then for the rest of her life, does she keep having twins and producing lots and lots of lambs? Yeah.
I mean, these ewe hoggets are in here for now, but you know, we will see how they, how they develop, and you know, they will be culled quite hard because their stay may be only temporary. You know, whether it be structure or performance, you know, they're only here in this recorded flock for as long as they perform well and they are in my top group. At this stage they are, but they may not.
Yep.
They may not actually last more than one lambing.
Yeah, I'm now I've got some numbers I can be a lot harder on mine, which I'm really looking forward to actually being able to go through. I've got, like I had some ewe lambs this year that I said, no, I don't want them to be bred from it at all, and they went as lawnmowers. I was really happy with that. I've got 3 lovely little ones that are the bottom end of my keeping flock, and they're only little compared to yours, but I'm still really proud of them.
Yep.
They're good looking lambs, and then they actually all happen to be out of Hoggets.
Yep.
So he's lovely. I like him. Right, we'll go down and have a look at that Texel. I really want to look at that 50% Texel, but you can see some Texel head coming through in this guy, eh? And that there'll be a little bit of Texel, of course, in the Australian genetics,
Yeah.
and then there's a little bit in there, but I don't think that's going to be too much. I like Texel, and he's really showing up, but he still looks quite Wiltshire-like. There's just a little hint of that Texel coming through in that head,
Yeah.
but that Exlana, like lovely.
Well, we want to improve the temperament of them. They are, shedding sheep are a little bit nervous, and
No, they're not. Come see mine.
well, fair enough.
But when I got mine were crazy things.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy things.
Yeah.
Hey, Murray, what's going on with this one? Did she step in some mud?
No, well, you're going to get a bit of black leg sometimes.
She's obviously got good enough numbers to stay in the flock.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a major problem. She's a nice sheep.
Clearly, she's got enough numbers to stay here.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, we'll go look at that Tex away.
Yep.
Well, she's mated. Sneaked up. Look at this thing. What's that thing? It's a Wiltshire. Yeah, he used to have all these sheep. He saw the light. Hey, good boy. What's this? He's a tank. He's an absolute tank, isn't he? I reckon that's going to produce some lovely, lovely lambs. Lovely lambs. So he's done some ewe lambs as well, hasn't he?
He's done some ewes. He's been been out with 50 four-tooth ewes, and he's now out with these ewe hoggets.
You're not so sure about this one, are you?
Well, I'm not too sure whether the shedding will be as good as the other rams we've used, so we're just not giving him quite as many, and we'll wait and see how they go. These are all good fast shedding ewe hoggets.
Yep.
2/3 of these are out of my ewe hoggets.
Nice.
So they've gone pretty well, and they've tupped quite quickly. I'm quite pleased.
That short tail's a good thing. That Texel short tail, that's a good thing. We need to look at that more coming through in the shedding sheep, because that's going to be a consideration, and then keeping those back ends clean. Your back end of your ewes, considering you're pretty lush here, like it's at the moment, that grass, that autumn flush,
Yeah.
has really come through.
Yeah.
And they're looking really nice.
They are. This group has stayed very clean.
You use FEC for your parasite analysis?
We have been. We are considering Kala. We haven't done the ram hoggets yet. We're just in the process of looking at that, and we may well move into Kala, because I think Kala may be a better fit for what we want to achieve. But yes, our focus is on many traits, production, but health traits are very important, and we won't get a look today at this group, but we also have got a proportion of our flock that we're actually selecting for high FE tolerance, so facial eczema tolerance, but at this stage we've been looking at primarily sheep that have been selected for high production and very high meat yields. The FE component, the main focus will be FE tolerance, with as much production, as much meat as we can possibly get. We have used a sire this year that was tested at 0.5.
That's getting up there.
And that's from Hinanui, and he is a mixture of Coopworth and Wiltshires. We started working with Hinanui about 5 years ago. They started using our Wiltshire rams over their FE Gold, some of the FE Gold Coopworth ewes, and they now have some fully sheared sheep.
Nice.
And they are able to test them at quite a high level. So we've started ram swapping, and it is our aim to get really FE tolerant sheep, and we will start putting that FE tolerance across all our flock. But it just takes time to get all your ducks in a row.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, he looks fantastic. He looks good. I like that Texel again, as I said before. You know, I like that look, and with him being half Texel, he's only putting quarter into the progeny.
Yes.
Effectively, you've got a little bit in there. You're still going to be less than 35%
Yes.
Texel
Yes.
overall. I don't think that's going to be any detriment. I know a guy who's got a Texel flock, and I think we really need a base of strong shedding Texels to help with putting meat into our shedding sheep.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any studs that are really focusing, Texel guys that are focusing on just pulling the wool off them and doing shedding Texels. They kind of are just like a byproduct of breeding Texels, because Texels often lose their belly. Like look at how clean his belly is. There's no wool on them at all, is there? Pretty much it's just skin with a bit of hair on his belly.
Yeah.
So if we could get some access to some really strong shedding Texels, I think it would be a big benefit to put a little bit in there.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think we're going to need huge amounts, but a little bit would be good.
Yeah. Well, I think that also crossing him over my Kaahu whites, we will get a game with some short tails. So the Australian white does tend to have a short tail. So we will see what comes of it, and certainly if we get some good young rams with short tails and they meet our criteria, they will be kept to see how they develop, because certainly in the future having sheep with a short tail I think will be of huge benefit.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, we've got to have that parasite resistance and then that short tail, because low input, easy care. And I think it's a little bit hard to get our head around it when we're so used to seeing a docked sheep, because I still prefer the look of a docked sheep.
Yes.
I'm still struggling with not docking my own ewes.
Yeah.
And I'm okay admitting that, but it's a mindset thing more than anything. And then I need to work on my parasite resistance. So I going through with looking what I need to do with my hoggets, looking at yours and having a chat with you has helped me to know that, one, I'm on the right track because my ewe hoggets are better than last year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work on, getting that early mating happening and getting some more size in them. I've got a bit of a plan there. Your ewe hoggets are about like my freezer lambs at the moment.
Yeah.
My best weather lambs.
Yeah.
That have grown as good as I could grow them.
Yeah.
And your ewe hoggets are and some of your ewe hoggets would be better than them, but my wethers would actually mix in pretty well with yours.
Yeah.
So I know what I need to do. I like that ram. Are you actually pleased you bought him now?
Yes, and I am. It's a matter of just trying to get a plan with your mating and what you're trying to achieve. We also want to create Kaahu whites that look very similar in type, so I'm quite careful on the type of ram I buy, and I'm happy enough with his head, and I don't think that he will make the sheep look unduly different, because it will be only quarter Texel, so in the progeny. So I believe that sheep farmers are proud of their sheep, and they like their sheep to, if you like, they're good-looking sheep. So that the way they look, the type, the phenotype, is very important to me.
One thing with a Texel, of course, we've got a big shoulder as well. You get a big back end, but you get a big shoulder. So I will be interested to see if we get any lambing issues. But again, I don't think you're putting in so much that you're going to see lambing issues. And it's your Kaahu whites tend to squeeze lambs out just fine, don't they?
They do. I think that, you know, certainly when you're breeding sheep or calving cattle, you know, there's two things that can make life easier. One is good genetics, and the other is the environmental effects, so that you need to watch your management and make sure that, you know, once the ewe or the cow is pregnant, that you don't overfeed them, and just, you know, keep them ticking along, but, you know, make sure the growth rates are moderate. These sheep are well grown, and you know, we won't worry about pumping them along too much from now on. You know, tupping, even though we're only sort of, I don't know, day 10, day 11, you know, once they've had, you know, their time, which they'll probably get about 30 days, after that, you know, we will manage their feed and make sure that they can't put on too much weight.
Yeah, well, I've finished hogget mating, done. I don't want anything after September. So that has stopped, though I think one might have crawled through. But anyway, sheep have a way of changing our plans. But I definitely don't want those late born hoggets, because that's where I had to pull some out last year, and that's not what I want at all. That's a zero tolerance. So I need to work on that, and it comes down to my management, I think, first. So I'll look at that. What happens to the ones that don't get in lamb?
Well, we'll look at the records, but at this stage it's most likely they won't be kept. In some cases, a hogget will get in lamb because it's maybe a twin out of a hogget, so it is too immature. So, you know, we will look at what doesn't get in lamb and make a decision as to whether they'll be considered or not. Primarily, you know, if they are going to be considered, they'll need to have a tup mark, and we'll see what sort of numbers. But
I've got the one hogget born lamb that I'm keeping has got a mark on her. And the ewe isn't huge, she isn't huge, but that fertility of that ewe is, and it's a twin. So it's a twin out of a hogget, and it's been marked. It was the first hogget lamb born. And it's just managed to get it squeezed in the window. So the other ones didn't. Good little lambs, they're going to move on to someone else who will do just fine out of them, who's carrying them over. And the same with yours. You know, anyone in a commercial flock who doesn't make their hoggets anyway will have no problem getting these in lamb as a two-tooth. And they'll go forward to be productive animals. These are very much that Australian white coming through, and that one there with the neck wattle A. So there's still a little bit of that coming through in your sheep, but some of them it has gone. You know, you want on the outside, you know, there's it's a good looking sheep.
Well, that one is quite likely to be a easycare cross. So
it does look like that easycare, doesn't it?
In here, as I said, the bulk of these are out of ewe hoggets, but there's a variation in breed. So just to cut down, trying to amalgamate all the different side groups on one property, we've just kept the hoggets that were born, or the hogget ewe lambs that were born here, as much as I can. I've kept them here and mated them here, rather than we've got 3 properties, rather than trying to shift all of one sire group to one property.
Yes.
We may let different bloodlines be mated by a sire, and that way you can see how good they are. But
Yep.
my aim is to try and get as much gene variation as possible, but still retain a good phenotype. And I've always got to keep in mind next year how I'm going to mate the progeny, and the sons that I will keep, how I will mate those. And you know what I would say to people buying rams, when you're buying your two-tooth rams, the best thing to do is put those to your youngest ewes, so your two-tooth ewes and your ewe hoggets.
Oh, yeah.
And as the following year, those rams stay with that group of two-tooth ewes, and they become four-tooths, and the new rams you buy, go to your two-tooths and go to your ewe hoggets. That way, you stop your older rams going over their daughters.
Yep.
So, you know, eventually, you know, a ram will be culled for age with that age group. So that's just one way of avoiding some inbreeding problems, and you know, you will double up on good traits by perhaps putting, you know, rams back over their daughters, but you know, I don't recommend it.
I'm trying to avoid it with mine. Next year's going to be a big decision for me, because I need to find a ram to do my whole flock,
Yep.
my whole 40 ewes, or 50, might be 50 ewes next year.
Yes.
But I've got to look really carefully about what I want to get.
Yeah.
And I've got to get, because he will be a bigger ram, he'll be a two-tooth ram, I definitely need to look at growing those ewe hoggets as much as I can. So my younger sheep need to go leave sooner off the property. Those ewe lambs that I'm not going to keep as replacements, I need to get off the property earlier again.
Yeah.
Again, all those sort of decisions that I need to make. But I certainly, the mating rattle has helped me this year. And I see you've got an orange rattle on this guy.
Yep.
So he's going through cleaning up anything that hasn't been done by the green ram.
Yes.
You know, and even in your situation, you know, you have disasters, but you've got to make a decision fast. The other ram, you know, an injured ram may not actually, he still may be fertile, but he may not. But it's not worth that risk. And that's what I had with my little fella this year. It wasn't worth the risk, and he's going to have his head cut off, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do? So
I like him.
I like him.